Welcome, curious minds, back to the deep dive.
Great to be here.
Today, we're embarking on an exploration, really, of a case that is, well, it's as heartbreaking as it is profoundly complex.
It really is.
We've meticulously combed through our sources, including a detailed transcript from the YouTube channel Teng Macaporn, to try and peel back the layers of this true crime story.
Yeah.
It's a story marked by, an unthinkable act, but it also tragically illuminates this deep, intricate web of human experience and, frankly, the long shadow of trauma.
That's exactly right. Our goal today with this deep dive is really to move beyond just the surface level shock of the headlines.
Right.
We want to understand not just what happened, but to truly delve into the profound why behind it all. So we'll examine the lives involved, the really shocking details of the crime itself, and, the difficult, uncomfortable questions it brings up about trauma, mental health, and ultimately, justice.
Yeah.
This isn't just another true crime narrative. It's really a case study that might challenge many of your perceptions.
Okay, let's open this up then. At its core, this is the story of Bobbie Jo Stinnett, a young woman 8 months pregnant whose life was just cut short by a crime so horrific it's hard to even process.
It really is.
But our journey to understanding it, it means also tracing the dark and really tragic path of the perpetrator's past.
We have to look at both sides.
Exactly. So let's begin with Bobbie Jo. She was born December 4th, 1981 in Missouri, USA. Grew up in a small, quiet town called Skidmore.
Right, Skidmore. And you have to picture this place. It's described as pretty remote, population in the hundreds maybe,
Yeah, tiny.
where pretty much everyone knew each other. And interestingly, despite having apparently a surprisingly high crime rate over the years for such a small place, the community itself was known for being strong and really supportive.
And what emerges when we look at Bobbie Jo's early life is, it's this picture of vibrancy,
Yeah, people remembered her as happy, maybe a little shy, but adventurous too, and consistently described as just exceptionally kind, gentle, sweet, all those things.
And she had this deep love for animals, even from when she was little. Dreamed of one day opening her own animal farm or some kind of business like that.
She actually went for it, which is great.
Right. After marrying her high school sweetheart, Zeb Stinnett, their shared passion for animals, specifically rat terrier dogs, became a huge part of their life.
They owned one themselves.
Yeah, and it sparked something in her.
It really did. That shared interest, it blossomed into a successful rat terrier breeding business for her. And she even created an online forum, like a virtual community for people who loved the breed. She became kind of a guru there, apparently.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a place for discussion, buying, selling dogs. She loved connecting with other breeders. And this online presence, as we'll see, becomes just absolutely crucial later on.
Okay, so fast forward to 2004. Bobbie Jo finds out she's pregnant with her first child, a daughter.
And she was just ecstatic, over the moon.
Totally thrilled. Can you picture it? You're 23, your business is doing well, you're building a family with the person you love.
Yeah, living the dream, kind of.
Exactly. By December 2004, she's 8 months pregnant, feeling, on top of the world, connecting with customers online who were becoming more like friends. When you think about her life right then, what happens next so utterly devastating?
It's that contrast, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just the stark contrast.
Yeah.
She was living this bright, hopeful life, full of the kind of joy and promise that makes the tragedy just so much more horrifying. She wasn't just dreaming. She was actively building this beautiful life she always wanted, surrounded by love and her passions. That foundation of hope just amplifies everything that follows.
But this joyous period, this time of expectation, it was about to take a truly nightmarish turn.
Yeah.
December 16th, 2004. Zeb's at work, Bobbie Jo's home alone. Her mother decides to visit, which she did often, just checking in on her daughter who was heavily pregnant.
A normal visit.
Completely normal.
So her mother arrives, rings the doorbell, knocks and knocks, but no answer. She tries the doorknob, finds it unlocked. And the scene she walked into, well, as she said later, it would haunt anyone forever. A true waking nightmare.
She finds Bobbie Jo's body, middle of the house in a pool of blood, her abdomen violently cut open.
Okay.
Her mother, in just sheer disbelief, described it as looking like Bobbie Jo's belly had exploded.
Unimaginable.
She immediately calls 911, just filled with panic and horror.
And when the paramedics arrive, their first hope, obviously, is to save Bobbie Jo, but
Yeah.
it was far too late. She was confirmed deceased right there.
Yeah.
And then came the truly chilling discovery. Her baby, the 8-month-old fetus, her unborn daughter, was gone, missing from her womb.
Just gone.
Doctors later confirmed the baby had been, well, surgically removed.
Crudely.
But removed.
So the implications of that discovery were just immediate and profound.
Huge.
Police launched this massive search for the missing baby, checking every hospital, every clinic nearby. They figured an 8-month-old fetus, now technically a newborn, still had a decent chance of survival if found quickly.
Right, time was critical.
They issued an Amber Alert for a missing newborn, even though they didn't have a description, nothing to go on, just a desperate plea.
The whole community must have been terrified.
Horrified.
Totally on edge, yeah.
Yeah.
Desperate for answers.
And the autopsy results just deepened the horror, didn't they?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Official cause of death was massive blood loss, but it revealed this critical detail. She'd been strangled first.
Strangled.
Yeah, likely to unconsciousness, not immediately to death, which suggests the initial intent wasn't necessarily murder, but incapacitation to stop her resisting.
Wow. Okay.
But here's the next detail, and it's just profoundly disturbing. The most shocking finding. Bobbie Jo actually regained consciousness after the crude C-section.
No. Seriously.
Seriously. Bloodstains found on the soles of her feet indicated she actually stood up.
Oh my God.
She fought her attacker. They found clumps of blonde hair on the floor, clear evidence of a desperate struggle, presumably to get her baby back.
Well, that's horrifying. Imagine the terror, the primal fight for her child in those final moments before she finally succumbed to the blood loss.
That just paints a picture of unimaginable courage. A mother's instinct. Even after that kind of attack, those bloodstains, the hair, it's a harrowing testament to her will to live and fight for her baby right up to the very end.
So the investigation ramps up dramatically. Public outcry, a community demanding justice.
And they had some initial clues, right? No forced entry.
Right. Which suggested Bobbie Jo knew her attacker, or at least let them in willingly. The murder weapon was a kitchen knife from her own home. But in a tight-knit community like Skidmore, how do you find someone capable of something so monstrous?
That's the question. And it brings up, how often our digital lives leave clues. In our connected world, can those footprints lead to justice?
And in this case, the answer was a definite yes.
Absolutely. The key breakthrough came from where? That rat terrier form you mentioned earlier.
Exactly. Members who were mourning Bobbie Jo were revisiting her old posts, and they stumbled on this peculiar exchange. What was it?
A user named Darren Fisher had posted, expressing interest in buying a rat terrier. And she had scheduled a visit to Bobbie Jo's home on the exact day of the murder, December 16th.
Wow. Okay, that's specific.
A forum member saw that, connected the dots, and reported it straight to the police.
Smart move. So the police confirmed the communication.
They did. They found messages between Bobbie Jo and this Darren Fisher. And in those messages, Darren claimed she lived only about 30 minutes away.
Okay.
But an IP address trace revealed the user's actual location was more like 4 to 5 hours away.
Huge discrepancy. That immediately raises red flags.
Big time. This development changed everything because Darren had also shared this really personal, maybe manipulative story with Bobbie Jo.
What kind of story?
Claimed she was pregnant with twins, but one had tragically died in utero. Said she had the difficult task of carrying to term just for the surviving baby.
Oh, wow. Okay, so a profile emerges. Someone deeply invested in pregnancy loss.
Exactly. Combine that with the false address. She immediately became a person of intense interest. And then there was physical evidence too, right?
Yes. A crucial piece came from a neighbor who'd seen an unfamiliar car outside Bobbie Jo's house that day. A red Toyota Corolla.
Okay.
So police followed the IP address trail, traveled to the suspect's real location hours away, and there, what do they find?
Let me guess. The red Toyota Corolla.
The red Toyota Corolla, matching the neighbor's description exactly. And inside the house, a woman holding a newborn baby girl.
And that woman
Was not Darren Fisher. Her real name was Lisa Montgomery.
Lisa Montgomery.
She initially claimed the baby was hers, said she'd delivered prematurely at a local health center. Her husband, Kevin, could back her up.
But the baby.
The baby, later identified as Bobbie Jo's daughter, Victoria, thankfully appeared healthy. She was immediately taken to the hospital for urgent medical care.
Thank goodness for that. But it raises that huge question. What could possibly drive someone to do something so extreme, so horrific?
Exactly. And Lisa's confession eventually revealed she suffered from a rare psychological condition, pseudocyesis.
Phantom pregnancy.
Phantom pregnancy, yeah. It's a mental disorder where a woman wants a child so intensely her brain actually releases hormones like estrogen, prolactin, oxytocin.
Mimicking real pregnancy symptoms.
Yeah.
Nausea, missed periods, even the belly growing.
Her body literally tricked itself into believing it was pregnant.
Which is fascinating medically, but just incredibly sad. It points to this profound delusion.
And her past, when investigators dug into it, it's almost unbelievably tragic. Lisa Montgomery, born 1968, grew up in a severely dysfunctional family.
Her mother was an alcoholic, drank heavily during pregnancy.
Leading Lisa to be born with fetal alcohol syndrome, FAS, which, can cause lifelong brain damage, learning issues, behavioral problems.
And the childhood itself was just a litany of horrors, wasn't it? Physical beatings, mouth taped shut, locked out in the cold.
And that incident with the puppy, her mother bludgeoning it to death with a shovel in front of Lisa and her siblings, forcing them to watch.
Just brutal, creating trauma upon trauma.
And then the next layer gets even darker, almost unthinkable. Age 9, parents separate, mother's new boyfriend starts sexually abusing Lisa, repeatedly raping her in an RV behind the house.
Horrifying.
By 11, Lisa turns to alcohol herself, just trying to numb the pain. And the abuse escalates. Her stepfather starts inviting his co-workers to rape her for money.
For money, with the mother's knowledge.
With her mother's knowledge and encouragement, even suggesting the boyfriend collect the money.
There are no words for that level of depravity and betrayal.
And when Lisa, at 14, finally confides in her mother about the abuse,
What happened?
her mother picks up a gun, points it right at Lisa's face, and threatens to kill her if she ever speaks about it again.
Oh my God.
No one helped her. Relatives in the legal profession she tried to tell, nobody stepped in.
So this just established this deep, intractable trauma, leading to diagnoses later on, depression, PTSD,
Post-traumatic stress disorder, yeah. Severe anxiety, flashbacks.
and borderline personality disorder, BPD,
Yeah.
which is complex, often involving emotional dysregulation, unstable relationships, a distorted self-image.
Reflecting just a lifetime of psychological damage and fragility.
Okay, so how does this all connect to the motive? The murder.
Well, after divorcing her first husband, Carl Bowman, who was also abusive, by the way, and had forced her to get sterilized after they had 4 kids.
Forced sterilization. Wow.
Lisa then married Kevin Montgomery, and he was supportive, kind. They desperately wanted a child together.
But she was sterilized, so the pseudocyesis.
Made her genuinely believe she was pregnant, despite the medical impossibility.
Okay.
But then Carl, the abusive ex-husband, hears she's pregnant, he threatens her, says he'll expose the sterilization, sue for full custody of their kids who were living with her and Kevin.
So that created this immense pressure, existential pressure almost.
Exactly. She felt she had to produce a real baby to validate her phantom pregnancy, to keep her kids, to secure her new family life.
And he was at that desperate point. She found Bobbie Jo online, saw her pregnancy updates.
I saw an opportunity, a horrific opportunity to solve her impossible situation.
So Lisa eventually confessed the details.
She did. Horrifying details. Stated her initial intent wasn't actually to kill Bobbie Jo, just to take the baby.
Which is still horrific, but okay.
She'd even researched C-sections online, childbirth methods, trying to prepare herself.
Oh, Lord. So December 16th, 2 p.m., she drives the red Corolla to Bobbie Jo's, pretending to be Darren Fisher, the dog buyer.
Right. Once inside, she apparently realized a natural birth wasn't feasible, maybe because of how far along Bobbie Jo was, or her own lack of knowledge.
So she decided then and there she had performed a C-section herself.
Yeah. And what happened next is just incredibly hard to fathom. While Bobbie Jo's back was turned, Lisa strangled her with a rope from behind until she was unconscious.
Strangled her first.
Then went to the kitchen, grabbed one of Bobbie Jo's knives, and performed that crude, unsterile C-section.
And the chilling part of her confession, she admitted doing the section quickly, getting the baby out. But as the baby was removed, Bobbie Jo tragically regained consciousness.
Yeah, that struggle we talked about, the bloodstains, the hair, it was real. Bobbie Jo fought back until she lost too much blood from that uncontrolled C-section and died.
The implications are just devastating.
So after taking the baby, Lisa calls Kevin, tells him she's given birth.
And he believes her.
Completely. He's overjoyed, meets her at a restaurant, proudly shows off their new daughter to relatives.
Oh, wow.
Brings them home completely unaware of the horrific crime that had just taken place.
Just unbelievable deception.
But thankfully, and that really is the only word, Bobbie Jo's daughter, Victoria, was safely reunited with her grieving father, Zeb Stinnett.
That's the one piece of light in this darkness.
Absolutely. She grew up healthy, happy, and she's 18 years old now.
That's wonderful to hear. And Lisa Montgomery.
She was charged with kidnapping resulting in death. Her defense team, understandably, presented this comprehensive picture of her traumatic past. The FAS, the severe abuse, the PTSD, BPD, pseudocyesis.
Arguing profound mental instability, right?
Yeah.
Lack of capacity to really understand the heinous nature of her actions.
Exactly. But the jury, they rejected that defense.
They found her sane.
They convicted her as a sane individual who understood what she was doing. October 2007, sentenced to death.
Wow.
Despite multiple appeals arguing for life imprisonment due to her mental state and trauma history, she was executed by lethal injection on January 13th, 2021.
Making her the first woman executed by the U.S. federal government in, 67 years?
That's right.
Which again, raises that difficult question. How do we, as a society, balance the undeniable need for justice for such horrific crimes with a nuanced understanding of deep-seated trauma and severe mental illness?
It's a huge question.
And interestingly, her children from her first marriage visited her in prison. They noted she had changed significantly.
So changed how?
Said she was no longer the monster the media portrayed, especially after finally receiving consistent mental health treatment in prison treatment she'd lacked her entire life.
That suggests maybe a complex interplay between her untreated conditions and her actions.
It certainly points that way. It doesn't excuse the act, of course, but it adds another layer of complexity.
And in a final sort of grim footnote, some of Lisa's abusers did eventually face consequences.
Oh, real?
Her first husband, Carl Boneman, was imprisoned in 2020 for child sexual abuse unrelated to Lisa, but still.
Okay.
But her abusive stepfathers had already died, so they escaped any prosecution. The case closed, leaving this really complex legacy of pain, unanswered questions, and just a stark reminder of the long-term impact of unchecked abuse.
Yeah, and when you connect this to the bigger picture, the broader human experience, this case just powerfully highlights the devastating, often cyclical nature of trauma. Lisa Montgomery was undeniably a victim of unspeakable systemic abuse, who, due to profound mental health issues and this desperate desire for a life she couldn't achieve, ultimately became a perpetrator of an unimaginable act.
It's that terrifying transformation.
And what's really chilling here is how her deep trauma, combined with that desperate desire for motherhood and the very real threat from her ex-husband, it seems to have completely rewired her perception of reality.
Manifesting as the pseudocyesis.
And ultimately driving her to commit an unthinkable act to correct that distorted reality. It shows how profound psychological damage can utterly twist a person's moral compass.
This deep dive into Bobbie Jo Stinnett and Lisa Montgomery, it really shows us those intricate, often tragic links between personal history, mental health, and the most extreme crimes.
Definitely.
It forces us, I think, to confront uncomfortable truths about how early trauma can so deeply shape a life and potentially, in the worst cases, lead to these unimaginable acts.
Precisely. We've seen a life, Bobbie Jo's, full of joy and promise, just brutally cut short. And another life, Lisa's, steeped in this horrifying past of abuse, culminating in an act of extreme desperation. The justice system delivered its verdict, absolutely. But the story leaves us with these profound questions, doesn't it? About accountability, the long-term impact of generational abuse, and what truly constitutes mental competency when someone has faced such profound, multifaceted psychological damage.
It certainly leaves us with a lot to consider. So I guess, what does this all mean for you, listening?
Well,
this story, for me, it reminds us of the critical, urgent need for early intervention in cases of abuse, in cases of mental health struggles,
yes,
and the importance of looking beyond just the surface of a crime to understand the complex human elements involved without obviously ever excusing the actions themselves.
Absolutely. And maybe consider this as you process this incredibly difficult story. If Lisa Montgomery had received the psychological support, the protection, the therapeutic help she so desperately needed as a child, could this entire tragedy have been averted? It's a really sobering thought, isn't it? It challenges us to think about our collective responsibility, maybe, in preventing these devastating cycles of trauma from repeating.
A powerful and very necessary thought to leave you with. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.